Okay, so the big news is that we are going to, and we are, by the way, Virtual TrekCon, we will be doing the very first ever Star Trek Awards show. So think of it like the Emmys for Star Trek, or the Oscars, or the Grammys, or whatever. I never know how those things work.
Huh? Yes, the Dundies
from The Office.
So this is going to be a Star Trek award show like the Emmys. We're going to have all kinds of categories, a few different divisions. We'll get into it a little bit later. And here's the fun part, by the way. Fun for us, because we don't want you guys saying, how the could you pick that one? That's not my favorite. The good news is you are making the selections. You are deciding who wins these things. And so we are absolved of anything. We do not want the responsibility of picking favorite something or best something. You guys are going to do it.
Share the fun.
Wait, what's the award show called?
Right. Exactly. Well, that's the next thing. It is, we're seeing some guesses in there. Medallion's got the second choice. It is called the Lappies. LLAP, like live long and prosper. Why? Scott's showing it right now. Let's move out of the way, Scott, so we can see it.
Epic. The Lappies.
Yeah.
I can't clear completely out. I'm going to find
really
space here.
Design.
Yeah. See if I can go this way. Let's see here. Beam me out. Beam me out of the way.
There we go. It's getting better.
Very nice.
Oops, still going.
Lappy Awards.
There we go.
Hey.
Perfect. The reveal is complete.
Beautiful.
So there it is.
Heckin' trekkin'.
That's the
Do you
fun.
want Scott to explain it?
Yeah, that also gives away, by the way, everybody, that image gives away more than just what the awards show is. Think of the awards show as the salmon or the piece of protein. And Virtual TrekCon 3 is on a bed of lettuce. You know, so it's going to be part of Virtual TrekCon 3. But this will be kind of like the big headlining thing. And as you may have seen, somewhere in between Scott's chair and thigh, it said March 18th through 21st. That is Virtual TrekCon 3, those 4 days, with the Lappy Awards being actually on Sunday, March 20th, that day. Sorry, what were you saying, Mohammed?
Oh, I was just asking if we wanted Scott to explain the colors and stuff.
Yeah, Scott.
Sure.
Yeah, there could be someone who's colorblind in the audience. We got to explain it.
Right.
Like Scott.
If you want to see, I'm slightly color. If you want to see the full graphic without me blocking it, then you can go to virtualtrekcon.com and it's there. But yeah, so we on Ryan, I was actually, Ryan and I kind of came up with a graphic thingy, and I did the work, and Ryan just shouted directions at me.
That's work too.
Oh, I know. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we took the color, the skin tone colors from some of the different races from Lower Decks, and so you can see there's an Andorian, and there's Orion, and
Bolian.
Bolian. So I think the Andorian one was the blue, and I made it a little more saturated and darker because it was this really light blue, and just to try to make the colors a little. So I tweaked the colors a little bit, but they're all based on different races of peoples from the Star Trek universe in general, but specifically we kind of took the colors from the Lower Decks because it's cartoony and they're more uniform colors. So
some duplers. Yeah, I just put in the live chat. That's our Easter egg for Marina Krovchuk. The dupler, resident dupler.
Yeah. So those were really fun, and Scott and I only exchanged like 2 or 3 texts about this. It was totally not like 50.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So what do you guys want to talk about next? Everybody's probably dying to know, do you have the categories? Do you have the nominations? What's the deal? Man, we've got it all planned out already, you guys. So check this out. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to have nominations, right? We're going to have the nominees. We'll have like 5 or 6 nominees that you will vote on. And then those winners will be announced on March 20th. But most of these categories, as you know, how are we going to narrow it down to 6? Like, for example, if the question was, for example, what is the funniest episode of Lower Decks? Or what is your favorite moment in Voyager, for example, right? We don't want the responsibility of narrowing it down to just 6 options because we don't know what your favorites are. So you will also be voting on the nominees. It's going to be 2 levels. First, you'll be voting on the nominees. Then we'll get those 5 or 6 nominations. And then you'll all vote on those at a later date, and we'll have our winners and announce them. So
it's very scientific. I'm pretty sure this is like the highest level of voting ever.
It's like the primaries and then the big election.
The primaries and the big election. Yes.
So now we know what everybody's thinking right now. Okay, look, everybody, the voting literally starts in a few hours. It's already starting. You don't have to wait. It's literally about to start in just a few hours. We'll give you all the details on that in just a minute. Oh, by the way, it's all free, by the way. Don't think we're trying to scam you. Like when I go, we'll tell you all about that in just a minute. Feels like we're like, and then for just $9.95.
Call this 900 number.
and just to respond to a One Trek fan, yes, you can tell everyone now. You can tweet away.
Thank you for asking. It was very thoughtful to ask first.
Yes.
Oh, Lisa.
Good catch, Melissa. And thank you to Lisa. So yeah, that's going to be great. It's going to be all free. It's going to be super easy, everybody. But let's first talk about the 3 main divisions, okay? Because people are saying, wait, I heard you mention Lower Decks. Is this only going to be new stuff? No. It's going, one of the categories is going to be new Star Trek. And that's basically everything starting at 2017, all the new series that are coming out. Discovery, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Short Treks, Picard, and then next year, did you catch that? Next year, Strange New Worlds will be added to that. So that will be something where every subsequent year we'll be having all the stuff that happened just that previous year. So like next year, 2023, the awards will be for everything that happened in 2022, just like the Emmys, I presume.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Is that how the Emmys and things? Katie, you're nominated for Emmys. Is that how it works?
Yep, entirely. You get one block of a year and anything in there goes.
But like we all get to be the Academy, deciding who should be picked and voting.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
Screw
your
the
vote
elites,
matters.
Right? We don't need just like a handful
bought.
of elites making all the decisions.
We're a handful of nerds just trying to keep it together. Hey, who do you want judging? Like, which would you prefer?
Yeah.
The people's choice of Trek.
So, and we'll give you more details on that because it's not going to be exactly 1 year. We'll give you the details on that shortly. So division number 1 is going to be all the new Star Trek, right? And division number 2 is what we call legacy, which is all of the old beloved shows, original series, animated series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and the movies, right? So that's all the older things, that people still know and love before this kind of like renaissance. So those will have like categories, for example, like funniest moment in Next Generation. And something like this, we could go on forever. We could do this for 50 years and we're never going to run out of categories because there's so much good stuff. And the third division is going to have categories that we like to call the Star Trek universe, because that's everything. It's new stuff, it's old stuff, it's TV shows, it's movies, it's even short treks. I'm just kidding. Short treks are fine.
And things that are outside of the movies and the TV shows that are tangential to.
Yeah. So those are the three, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Scott Jensen III loves the animated series because he knows what's up.
And yes, it's going to include alternate timeline movies. It includes all Star Trek. We love it all here.
Absolutely. It's all Star Trek.
And we're going to get to voting platforms in a second. That keeps getting asked in the live chat. That and
okay, well, let's just get to the voting platforms right now then.
Okay.
So real quick, the way actually, Mohammed, do you want to explain to them once we get the nominees?
Sure.
Once we get the nominees, everybody, we are going to have a way for everybody to be able to vote only once. And that method is what again?
So we're going to be using Google Forms for that. And what will happen is people will go in there, they'll put in, you have to put in as part of the entry, like your social media handle. And we promise we're not going to like at you with weird things, but it's just a way of
I thought it was email address. No?
Email address. Sorry, my bad. Email address. We promise we're not going to email you anything at all. But basically, it's just a way to limit things. If you accidentally submit twice, because I mean, it sometimes happens by accident, we'll just go through and pick like the first one or the second one. We'll arbitrarily pick one if you submit more than once. But you're going to put that in, and then there'll be all the, however many 19 categories, and there'll be the 5 choices for each one, and you pick one for each one. Just hit submit and done.
Oh my gosh, I love this scientific method section of this explanation.
Yeah, so the reason you have to put in an email address is just so we could verify that people only do it once, not because we're trying to spam you. We won't email you even if you beg us. Okay,
won't even get a confirmation. No confirmation even.
No spam.
We'll sell your email addresses to Scott.
We'll laugh at your email address.
But if you want us to send you stuff, you can go to virtualtrekcon.com and sign up for the newsletter.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a really professional.
That's virtualtrekcon.com. You can just scroll down. How to participate. It's somewhere around here, right, Scott?
And of course,
there
this
it
is all interactive too.
You just scroll down to the bottom, click sign up now, and then you will be emailed. Virtualtrekcon.com. What were you saying, Anne-Marie?
Of course, this whole Virtual TrekCon 3 and the award show when it actually happens too, with all the actual announcements, all interactive as usual.
YouTube premieres or live.
And then also for the preliminary round. So can you explain that too?
Yeah. Okay. So we hope that makes sense. Don't worry if it doesn't make perfect sense just yet, because that's still a few weeks out, right? That is when we've locked in all the nominees and it's time to put in your final votes for the winner and all-time grand champion of, and by all-time asterisk, 2022 champion of the Lappy Awards. So how are we going to pick these nominees? Well, that's going to be a much bigger thing and a much more casual and relaxed thing. That is going to be predominantly, first of all, many of these will not need a preliminary round. For example, if one of the categories is, and by the way, one of the categories actually is best first episode in a legacy show. There are only 6 shows, so we don't need to narrow it down. It doesn't get any bigger than that. We don't need you to add anything. We don't need you to vote on it. That we've already got the nominees there. We've already got a top 6, although there's an asterisk to that one too. Let's just go into that asterisk right now. So it's a lot of information, guys. So here's the thing, and some of you might already know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
If we're saying which is the best episode in a legacy series, right? That's original series, the animated series, Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, Enterprise, Voyager.
Why was Voyager last?
Because it deserves it. No, you saved the best for last, right?
Alphabetical order.
Because it starts with a V.
Okay,
Alphabetized.
fine.
Good save, Melissa.
So the question is, everybody at home that you might already know, which episode of the original series is considered to be the first one? Why, Mohammed?
Oh, it's tough because there's really three choices. There's the original pilot, which didn't get followed up on immediately because NBC turned it down, which is The Cage. Many of you know it because it showed up later in parts of the menagerie. There was the second pilot, which actually did get the series approved, which was Where No Man Has Gone Before, but it wasn't the first episode to air. It was actually the third episode to air. So then, and then the actual first episode was, I believe, The Man Trap. So which of those do we pick? I have an opinion. I have a very strong opinion, but you may have a different one.
Let's talk about that a little later, because that is a fun discussion. So anyway, so for that specific one, and we'll tell you about that a little later, we will have a Twitter poll, and it's just going to have three options: Where No Man Has Gone Before, The Man Trap, and The Cage. And you will all decide who gets into the finals. You know, it's like a wild card berth, you know, it's like.
And retweet the poll too, to make sure we're getting as much data as possible.
Yes.
And as much lore.
I always
And
need more lore.
in the event of a tie, one lucky fan of Virtual Trek Con will have to duel hand-to-hand combat with Dr. Muhammad. So,
Oh God!
Oh,
I like ties.
Oh,
We
is that
have
a
a
nitpick?
The money's on you.
No, he just said a tie, so I just brought out a tie.
Ah.
I told you the jokes were just going to get worse.
Now.
You were right.
And then also,
we
somebody
love them.
asked if all Prodigy would be included in Legacy. I'm assuming because of the Kobayashi episode. So we're just including the first 5 episodes so that it ends abruptly at the end of 2021.
Yeah,
for
let's get
episodes
to
of
that
Good.
a little
Sorry.
later. So to finish up on, okay, so that's how we're going to select one of these nominees. But and the ones that already have just 4 or 5 or 6 options, they'll already have the nominees selected. They're going to bypass the first round, no big deal. But the ones, for example, like funniest moment in Lower Decks, that could have like 30 different options that people are choosing. So we will need to narrow it down to 6. So those will be done through Facebook polls, okay? So those polls will be posted in various Facebook groups. And to find those groups, all you have to do is look at the description box of this video. We will be adding those links in just a few hours when we upload these polls. You click on those and you go and you make your vote, and then you share it with your friends. And you could be like, hey guys, make sure you vote for, I mean, you don't want to spoil it, but yeah, definitely share that around. Right now, we do have the Virtual TrekCon page and the Virtual TrekCon group and Twitter in the description box below. So you can click on those, because if nothing else, all those polls will be posted and tweeted into those as well. But you don't want to miss any of these. So that's where they're all going to be, Facebook group polls. Now, many of you are saying, but I don't have Facebook. And like, hey, whatever.
Go to your neighbor's house, use their profile.
This is just the preliminary polls anyway. You'll still get to vote for the most important stuff. And most likely, the things that you would have voted for will probably make it to the finals. Anyway, we'll also have a couple Twitter polls, and many of these won't even need preliminary things. Don't worry about it. This is just the only way we can do it. Yeah.
Just to reiterate, that final poll is a Google poll. You don't need any sort of login or account or anything like that. Literally, you just go to, it's basically like going to a website. So easy peasy.
And you'll get that Google poll announcement also in the Virtual TrekCon newsletter.
Yeah, and I'll have links on the website for all the preliminary polls, and then all the final Google one will be linked to that. So the web page will be a centralized place also to where you can go. If you're not as Facebook friendly, then that's a good place to go to for all the info.
Yeah, so that's how it's going to go.
Scott, Scott Jensen asked if he can dress up. Yes, it's black tie at your house.
There you go.
Dress however you want.
For the preliminary
Cosplay.
polls, But for the awards ceremony, well, it's either formal or cosplay.
There you go. I'm glad the second option wasn't naked because I was a little worried.
Unless you're cosplaying a Betazoid wedding.
Not going to be a Ferenginar.
Yeah, I mean Beta Z. Yeah.
I like your thinking, Mohammed.